right, shalom, everybody. This this is the second day of Sukkoth, and we're taking this time to read the law, to read the commandments that Moses reviewed with us before we went into the wilderness, before we went into the land of Israel, as we were leaving from out of our wilderness experience. Yesterday, we went into a lot of details, a lot of information, particularly focusing on Numbers 25 and Leviticus and Deuteronomy chapter 4, when it went into idolatry and the secret ways that we've been seduced into worshiping different gods. And we discussed practices that different Israelite congregations have, and practices that we have, generally speaking, in the world that all contribute to worshiping demons, particularly of fornication, fertility, drunkenness. We went into Isis, we went into Aphrodite, we went into Eros or Nimrod, Eros or Cupid. We went into Ashtoreth in the scriptures. We went into Baal Peor and the fornication and partying from Baal Peor. So we went into a lot. We covered a lot of ground yesterday. And so today, as we start from Deuteronomy chapter 4, we'll see Moses giving a very strong reiteration of what we aren't supposed to be doing. And he spent a lot of time on symbols and images of idolatry that are used to worship. And he cautioned us that if you make these things, eventually you will start to give some type of reverential authority or power or symbology to these things. And that's what we go into in Deuteronomy chapter 4, right? So we'll start off with Avinu. All right, Zayathan, give me this. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Bashem Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Now we're going to the Shema. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one. And you shall love Yahweh your power with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thine oil. And I will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other Elohim and worship them. And then Yahweh's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heavens that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, unless ye perish quickly from off the good land which Yahweh giveth you. Therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt write them upon the door posts of thine house and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied and the days of your children, in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you to do them, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him. Speak unto the sons of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of Yahweh to do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a-whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your Elohim. I am Yahweh, your power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, to be your power. I am Yahweh, your power. Second greatest commandment, La'atakwam wa la'atatar ath banya inka, wa hapta laraika kamawaka anya Yahweh. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Ten Commandments. I am Yahweh, your power, that brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not take the name of Yahweh. Salakli, you shall not make any graven images, and you shall not serve them. You shall not take the name of Yahweh in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. You shall not covet anything that is your neighbor's. Yabarakaka Yahweh Yashamarka. Ya'ad Yahweh Panyawa Aliyaka Wayakanka. Yasha'a Yahweh Panyawa Aliyaka Wayashamlaka. Shalom. Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Amen. Our prayers have ended. May you, Yahweh, continue to bless and protect us in your everlasting mercy. Bashem Yeshua HaMashiach, Dawada Yahweh Tamyad. Amen. All right. Amen. All right, so picking up from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16. Can we get a volunteer to start reading, please? You can read in the nets. You can go online and get a version of the nets, or get a online version of the New English translation of the Septuagint. If we have a volunteer that can start off in the nets from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16. So let's get right into the reading. So that is the topic at hand. Do we have any volunteers to start reading Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16 from the nets? Mr. Alton, can you do us the honors, please? Here you go. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16. Let's stand up and read it if you can. Can you? Or you feel, if you feel different, then you can adjust yourself, okay? All right, let's start from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16. Zayathan, we left off in verse 15 yesterday. We went 9 hours yesterday, more than 9 hours. So we're going to have a lot less commentary today. All right, but we're going to go into it and explain it as we read if it's necessary. If you look on the schedule that I shared in this group and the other group yesterday, you'll see the verses at the bottom from Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 12, when it says, gather the people together the men, the women, the children, and the stranger that is within your gates, that they may hear and that they may learn and fear Yahweh Elohim and observe to do all the words of this law. So we have to hear the law, and traditionally we do it every 7 years. When we were in our land and when we had Torah resources, we don't really know precisely when that 7-year cycle, where we are in that 7-year cycle right now, and we're so far behind, so many generations behind, that we just go ahead and do it every year for each day of the Feast of Tabernacles. All right, so if everybody can make sure that you're muted, so everybody can hear the reading on this end, we'll go ahead and start the reading. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16.
Do not act lawlessly.
Maybe you may.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16. Do not act lawlessly and make for yourselves an engraved likeness, any kind of icon, a likeness of male or female.
So we're not supposed to be making different types of images, male or female. Now, we're not talking about a portrait of yourself or a picture on your ID or just something in your lawn, we're talking about images that you ascribe some special type of meaning to outside of the temple compound. All right. When we look at the scriptures, Yahweh gave us instructions to make certain kinds of things, but they were for his purpose in his territory, his holy ground. It wasn't just us doing it on our own initiative. Read.
A likeness of any animal.
So it says, don't make any likenesses of an animal. Go ahead.
Of those that are on the earth, a likeness of any winged bird that flies under the sky, a likeness of any reptile that creeps on the ground, a likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And do not, when you look up to the sky and see the sun and the moon and the stars, even any ornament of the sky, be led astray and do obeisance to them and serve them.
So this is what we're being warned about in the Ten Commandments. La'ata isha laka pasal wa la'ata ibadam. Thou shalt not make a graven or carved image, and you shall not serve them. So we have two prohibitions, making something and then serving it. All right. But again, we see historically in the Bible that people did certain things for specific purposes. All right. So it's better to refrain, all right, and remove any type of doubt or uncertainty, as opposed to constantly pushing the envelope to say, well, I'm going to make an image of this represents this represents Joseph and Mary and baby Jesus. This represents John the Baptist, Elizabeth, and his father. All right. So, but again, we're not talking about art per se, where you're drawing a picture of something, because children and adults do that all the time. We're talking about these things actually being like venerated and put in a special category of art that is called like sacred art per se. And that's what this is going into. You're making these pictures and images sacred arts, and you're using them as a part of religious worship. And we see that in several different religious denominations. All right, read.
Those things that Yahweh your Elohim has allotted to all the nations beneath the sky. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to become for him an allotted people, as in this day.
So because Yahweh did these things for us, and he's told us not to make any images of him, then we shouldn't be given anything else that type of esteemed credit for what he has done for us. So he's the most high power. He's the almighty God. And if he's saying don't do these things for me, he definitely doesn't want us doing it, for other entities or other things that he has created, whether in the sky, on the earth, in the waters, all right, or birds, fish. All right, go ahead.
And Yahweh was angry with me because of the things being said by you, and he swore that I would not cross this Jordan, and that I would not enter into the land that Yahweh Alahaya is giving to you as an allotment.
So the allotment is talking about the inheritance. East and west of the Jordan River is our inheritance that we lost temporarily because we didn't obey the commandments that Yahweh gave to us and that were given to Moses, and we didn't heed the prophets that warned us of the catastrophes that would come upon us if we didn't obey the commandments, and that's where we're living now as a result of the catastrophes. Go ahead.
For I am going to
Call your
die.
verse.
Verse 22. For I am going to die in this land, and I am not crossing over this Jordan, but you are going to cross over, and you will take possession of this good land. As for you, take care lest you forget the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he made with you, and make for yourselves an engraved likeness of all the things that Yahweh your Elohim has instructed you.
So again, we see that Yahweh made us, and Yahweh has instructed us not to make these different things. All right. And we have to understand the fact that the discretion of the do's and don'ts is left to the highest authorities of the land, being the judges. And then when we go into the high priest also. So since we don't have that now, we have to leave it into the discretion of the elder judges of Israel. And sometimes it may be a blanket prohibition, and sometimes it may be a case by case exemption or allowance or prohibition. All right. If we are a nation, then we have to respect and honor the national authority that's based on the Bible structure. We have to respect it. We're no better than lawless animals if every man breaks off. And this is the modus operandi. This is the standard practice of Israelites. They get with a group of Israelites, somebody exercises authority, says somebody shouldn't be doing something. They want to do it anyway. So they leave that and go do something else because of their own freedom. And this is the mentality that we have. This is the mentality that a lot of our people have. And we carry that mentality oftentimes into relationships. Where we don't carry it is in jobs and in universities and in schools. We don't carry that mentality there. We stay there to get that money, to get that education so we can go further. All right. And even in a marriage, we'll listen to differences in the marriage. And if something doesn't go our way, some of us will stick in that marriage. And some of us will say, well, I'm finished with this. I'm through with this. But the point is that we have to respect the authority of our nation. This is not a free for all. Some things we have a democracy and some things are not up for debate. And if you don't want to be a part of the nation of Israel, you shouldn't read the Torah, because the Torah tells you that the judges and the officers have the final word when there's a dispute. All right. So some things are not, if we say tuna is lawful, you can't come on here saying, well, tuna ain't lawful. We're not supposed to be eating tuna. You're causing confusion. Tuna has fins, so it's lawful. It doesn't say it needs to have, 13 fins or 13 scales or 1,000 scales. Um, uh, tuna has fins and scales, so it's a lawful fish. And the elders, the judges, have concluded for our people, our nation, that it's a lawful fish. We've concluded that duck is not a kosher animal. Duck is not a clean bird for us to eat. And the primary reason for being, incidentally, is because there's no waterfowls that we know are on the list of birds that fall into the category of other birds that we can eat. Different types of web-footed animals and different types of waterfowl are prohibited. Swans and geese, and the duck obviously is in that same type of family, has the same type of feeding habits, has the same type of body, has the same type of feathers, has the same type of habitat. But you can use the feathers of the duck if you want to, just like you can use the hair of the camel if you want to, but we can't eat either one of those animals. All right. So we must respect, if we are a nation, if we are Banya Yasharahla, sons of Israel, and if we are Masharah Yasharahla, operating under a government of Israel, then we have to respect the final authority of our government. All right. So a person can't come and say, well, you know what? I'm going to eat shrimp, because technically a shrimp has a scale and it has fins. No, that's a crust, that's an exoskeleton, is what it has. All right. It's an exoskeleton. So I'm just giving you examples of, you're not the exception to the decisions that are made by our government. If you consider yourself to be an Israelite that's part of a nation, everybody wants the benefit and the glory and the attention of being an Israelite, of being a Jew, of being a worshiper of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a follower of Hamashiach. So you have to also respect the structure and the order and the decency that is enforced and pushed for our people to follow in righteousness, not for anybody's harm, but for everybody's health and well-being. All right, go ahead.
For Yahweh, your Alahaya, is a devouring fire, jealous Alahaya. Now if you bear sons and sons and live.
Verse 25.
No. Now if you bear sons.
If you have sons.
And sons.
That's talking about your grandsons. All right, go ahead.
And live long in the land, when you act lawlessly.
Meaning you start to commit sin. You start to commit sin. You start to be disobedient. Close that sum, please. Close that sum. Go ahead.
And make an engraved likeness.
So here we go again with the engraved likeness. Tell them it's not working right. Here we go again with the engraved likeness. They keep saying, oh, don't carve these things. Don't make these engraved things. Go ahead.
Of anything, and do what is evil before Yahweh your Alahaya, to provoke him to anger.
Okay.
I call sky and earth to witness.
So Moses calling the sky and the earth. Go ahead.
Verse 26.
Excellent. Cut that off, please.
I call sky and earth to witness against you today.
Unless it's working right.
That by destruction you will perish from the land that you are crossing the Jordan to inherit there. You will not prolong days on it, but will be wiped out with the wiping.
And that's exactly what happened to our people. We got wiped out of our land in Israel. We got wiped out because we kept making these images and we kept worshiping different gods and we kept making excuses and justification. And we can't do that. The things and the measures that are put in place are put in place for the sake of spiritual protection and unity, so we can all speak the same things, so we can all be of one mind, so we can all have one judgment. Okay, go ahead.
And Yahweh will scatter you among all the nations, and you will be left few in number among
Verse 27. So scattered among the nations, meaning that we got scattered into all of the different parts of the earth. Read.
Among the nations into which Yahweh will bring you there, and there you will serve other Alahayim.
So Yahweh saying, since you want to serve other gods and make these images, I'm going to send you into this land. And when we go into this land, we're going to serve. We're going to represent. We're going to promote. We're going to speak on behalf of. We're going to represent the ideals and represent the meanings behind these different gods. Go ahead. Verse 28. Go ahead.
And there you will
serve other gods. Go ahead.
Works of human hands.
Works of human hands. Go ahead.
Wood and stone.
Wood and stone. Go ahead.
Who neither see nor hear nor eat.
Hear nor see, nor smell nor eat. And that's why people walking around with images that were used to worship their gods in Egypt, in Babylon, in Rome, in Greece, in India, in China. So people are using Israelites, different symbols that come from different religious backgrounds, and they try to justify it by saying, well, this is what it means to me. In other words, they try to call evil good. So it says, woe to them that call evil good. You're trying to take darkness and use this darkness and assign it to something related to the righteousness of Yahweh and make it a light. Okay? And we're not supposed to do that. Yahweh is very, he's a purist. Things must be pure. This is what shows us the definition of holiness. Holiness means that you are distinct and different on a narrow path away from what others are doing. All right, read.
And in verse 29, and there you will seek Yahweh, your Elohim, and you will find him.
We will seek him, we'll find him.
And you will find him when you seek him out with your whole heart.
When you seek him with your whole heart, you will find him.
And with your whole soul. In your distress.
In your distress, see? You don't feel enough distress to take heed to counsel and righteousness. You think you have it fairly good. You got a pretty stable income. You got a roof over your head. Everybody got a roof over their head. You got an income. You got a job. All right. You got water. You eat more regularly than the majority of the world. No matter what we don't have, we eat regularly more than the majority of the world. So when you get in your distress, now we're going to be more likely to seek Yahweh. But when you're sitting high in a socioeconomic status without building that upon compliance and obedience to Yahweh, it's going to be easy to say, well, I'm not going to focus on the Torah and the strictness of it. Why? Because when you get wealth and material possession, when not in holiness, you have to maintain yourself in a non-holy state in order to get it. In other words, I got this house. I might have been doing some wicked stuff. Now I got this house. I wasn't keeping the Torah. I wasn't keeping the Sabbath. I wasn't keeping the new moon like I'm supposed to. Now I got these possessions. Now I got to make a choice between either cutting back and downsizing my life or breaking the commandments, justifying it and allowing my family to break the commandments to keep what I've acquired. And that's a tough choice for some people. Go ahead.
Verse 30, and all these words shall find you in the end of days, and you will return to Yahweh your Elohim and listen to his voice.
So Yahweh says in the last days, you're going to return to me and hear my voice, which means that it's talking to you. It's not talking to all these ancient communities of Jews and Israelites. It's talking to you. The Israelites that came into the Western Hemisphere that are waking up in parts of Africa and parts of Asia and India. It's talking to you. All right. It's not talking to or about everybody. It's talking to you. All right. It's telling you that this is what you need to do. All right, it's telling you that this is what you need to do in order to um, get back right with Yahweh. And he's telling us that we're going to make these choices in the last days. Keep read.
Because Yahweh your Ahaya is compassionate Alahaya, he will neither abandon you nor wipe you out. He will not forget the covenant with your fathers that he swore to them. Ask of former days which occurred long before your own,
Just says, ask of former days. Go ahead.
from the day that Alahaya created a human being on the earth. Ask at the end of the sky, up to the end of the sky, whether a thing this great has ever happened, whether such a thing has ever been heard of, whether any nation has ever heard the voice of a living Alahaya speaking from the midst of the fire, as you have heard and you lived.
And this is what our fathers experienced, the direct interaction with Yahweh. Read.
Whether a power ever attempted to go and take a nation for himself from the midst of a nation, by trial and by signs and by wonders and by war and by a strong hand and a high arm.
So Yahweh brought us out of Egypt with power from out of another nation. He made us a nation and became our God. So the question is, nobody else has done that. No God has demonstrated himself to be as powerful as what Yahweh did. Read.
And by great exhibits, like all which Yahweh your Elohim did in Egypt before you, as you were looking on. Verse 35. So that you might know that Yahweh your Elohim, he is Elohim, there is no other besides him. From the sky his voice became audible to discipline you, and on earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words coming from the midst of the fire. Because he loved your fathers, he also chose you, their offspring after them, and himself brought you out of Egypt by his great power, to destroy utterly before you great nations and mightier than yourselves, to bring you in, to give you their land to inherit as you have today. And you know today and bear in mind that Yahweh Elohim, he is Elohim in the sky above and on the earth beneath, and there is no other besides him. And you will keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command you today, so that it may be well with you.
Okay.
Verse 20. That it may be well with you and with your sons after you, so that you may be long lived in the land that Yahweh your Elohim is giving you for all your days. Then Moshe set apart 3 cities beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, for the murderer to flee there, whoever might unintentionally kill his neighbor, and he did not hate him before yesterday, and the third day, and he shall flee to one of these cities and live. Bosor in the wilderness on the plain country belonging to Reuben, and Ramoth in Galad belonging to Gadi, and Golan and Basan belonging to Manasseh.
So these are the 3 cities of refuge where we would go to if somebody killed somebody on accident. All right. So in ancient Israel, if you killed somebody on accident, you didn't just get put back into the into society around the people, the relatives of the person you killed on the accident. You had to stay in a special city. All right, go ahead.
Verse 44. This is the law that Moshe set before the sons of Yasharahla. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments that Moshe spoke to the sons of Yasharahla when they had come out of the land of Egypt beyond the Jordan and the valley near the house of Phobor in the land of King Sihon of the Amorites, who used to live in Heshbon, whom Moshe and the sons of Yasharahla defeated when they had come out of the land of Egypt. And they took possession of his land and the land of King Og of Bashan,
Mm-hmm.
2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, from Aror, which is on the edge of the Wadi Arnon, and to Mount Sion, that is Hermon, all the Arabia beyond the Jordan,
The Araba.
the Araba beyond the Jordan, toward the rising of the sun, east under Asedoth, quarried from rock. Kashrad Bar Helen, Naishal Nashmi,
Kalashad Banya Yasharahla.
Ali How said, what we doing here?
All they ever said, what we're doing here. Let's go to chapter 5.
And Masha called all Yasharahla and said to them, Here are Yasharahla, the statutes and judgments that I am speaking in your ears this day, and you
All right, go ahead.
and be watchful to perform them. Yahweh your Elohim established a covenant with you at Horeb, not with your fathers did Yahweh establish this covenant, but with all of you here alive today. Yahweh spoke with you face to face at the mountain in the midst of fire, and I stood between Yahweh and you at the time to report to you the words of Yahweh, for you were afraid because of the fire, and did not go up unto the mountain, saying, I am Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of a house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me.
That means that we don't represent, we don't worship, we don't respect, we don't honor any other gods whatsoever. Okay? We don't do that. We don't promote their books. We don't promote their practices. We don't promote their images. We don't promote their ways of worship, like at all. We don't imitate the Muslims when we pray and do all of that, and we don't do that. Maybe some of those things they got from us, but that you can do, all right? But when we go into all the other practices that other nations of other gods do, we don't do that. You got the little spinning wheel that they have from Buddhism. You got the 7 chakra meditations that they do in Buddhism and Hinduism, Taoism, Confucianism. All right. Philosophical religions from Greece and Rome. All right. Even when you get into a vegetarianism, vegetarianism did not exist in the ancient world except as a religious practice of a sect of Hindus called Jainism, and a sect of Greeks that were following the philosopher and the mathematician Pythagoras. Okay. So we have to be very careful in what we do, because a lot of stuff that we pick up is actually worshiping other gods. So we have to be very careful in what we do. It's like you see a lot of women aspects of the waist beads go back to idolatry also, and go back into fertility goddesses. And we went into a deep discussion about the fertility goddesses of the ancient world yesterday, right? Took about 2-3 hours on that alone. And we talked about how it had really infiltrated a lot of Israelite organizations. All right, go ahead, please, Ayatan.
Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 8.
Uh-huh.
You should not make for yourself a carved object or likeness of anything, whether it is in heaven above or whatever is in the earth beneath. And whatever is in the waters under the earth, you shall not do obeisance to them.
So now he's getting into, don't be doing these things out of reverence. All right, don't do these things out of, you're reverencing and putting these things on a high spiritual pedestal and exalting them above everything else. That's what obeisance means, to worship or to bow down. Okay, to worship or to bow down to these images, psychologically, physically, or spiritually. You're reading the scripture when it says, we bow our hearts to you. That doesn't mean that you're that your organ, the heart, bends or prostrates physically, it's a symbol of your actions, your deeds, your intentions are humbled. So now we see that we can associate it with the heart and the physical body. So we're not supposed to humble ourselves to make these images, and we humble ourselves, to these images now. We humble ourselves to these different images that we see. Okay. And we can see different aspects of this in, former practices that we had in the ancient world, from that we learned from paganism, from idolatry. All right. Because everybody used to have that little tree, and you sit at the base of that tree and you made songs about the tree. And there was somebody that came down and gave you gifts for the tree. You're setting up an idol in your house when you set up that so-called Christmas tree. That's an idol. That goes back to idolatry and paganism, but it's so incorporated into our lifestyles that most of our people don't view it like that. It's just something for the kids. It's just, it's just the reason for the season. All right, go ahead.
Verse 9, you should not do obeisance to them. Obeisance to them, nor serve them, because I am Yahweh your God.
Go ahead. You play with fire, you will get burned. Okay. So we have to be careful what we do, because the curse or the punishment comes upon the third and the fourth generation. This is what we read right here. It says that he is going to repay the sins of the fathers. All right, go ahead.
To those who hate me.
So if you hate Yahweh, this is what's going to happen to your bloodline. Go ahead.
Verse 10, and do mercy.
And doing mercy. When you get that favorable treatment. Go ahead.
And to thousands of those who love me and keep my ordinances.
So you get mercy when you love him and keep his ordinances. So why would you play around doing something that you don't know if you should or shouldn't do it? Why would you play with your life? All right, go ahead.
You should not take the name of Yahweh your God.
So these are the expanded, these are the different presentation of the Ten Commandments. So it says, don't take the name of Yahweh what?
In vain.
How do we take the name of Yahweh in vain? By his name is also his fame. His fame is his representation, his exploits, his deeds, his achievements, his accomplishments. We're going out there looking like we represent Yahweh, but then we engage in all types of foolishness, all types of idolatry practices, all types of uncleanness, all types of wickedness. So we're taking his name in vain. We're not taking his name or his power with the seriousness, the respect, and the honor that we're supposed to give it. Right, go ahead. Verse 11.
For Yahweh will never acquit the one who takes his name in vain.
If you take Yahweh's name in vain, that's a serious offense. Read.
Keep the day of the Shabbat to consecrate it.
To consecrate it. Go ahead.
As Yahweh your Elohim commanded you.
So keep this day as a holy day. Go ahead. 6
days you shall labor and do all your labor, but on the seventh day there is a Sabbath.
Read it. It says Sabbatah, right? Go ahead.
There is a Sabbatah to Yahweh your Elohim. You shall not do in it any labor.
So you're not supposed to do any work on the Sabbath day. There's no cleaning out the garage. There's no straightening out your closet. There's no dusting under your bed. There's no cleaning behind your toilets. All right. There's no washing out your car, washing the inside of your car, the outside of your car. There's no scrubbing your tires. Right. There's no cleaning out your pots. All right. There's no mopping the floors of the house. All right. There's no Murphy oil soap and all of the wood. Okay. So we have to refrain from doing work on the Sabbath day. And like I said yesterday, the primary exemptions for that occasionally would be emergency services, which includes protection, health, and medical. If I have to get in my ambulance and come and get you because you called and you fell and you broke your arm, you need the ambulance to come and take you to the hospital unless somebody transports you to the hospital. So the doctor needs to be on call, or the nurse that can reset the bone needs to be on call so that we can get you healed, right? We're not going to wait because if an ox is in the ditch on the Sabbath day, are we going to get it out? So how much more valuable is your life than the life of the ox? This is what Hamashiach is saying, that your human life in jeopardy and in danger can be defended, helped, and relieved more so than the ox on the Sabbath day. He did not use that as a metaphor for working on the Sabbath day. He used it to say that if your ox is in the ditch and you will get it out, then if a human being needs to be healed on the Sabbath day, not if a person needs to go to work or if a person needs to make more money, but if somebody is in a similar ox situation of healing and jeopardy, that they would have to be able to get relief also, just like an ox. That's the meaning of that law, the ox being in the ditch, because it's in the law. Read.
Verse 14, you and your son and your daughter, your male slave and your female slave, your ox and your draft animal, and any animal of yours, and the guest within your gates, so that your male slave and your female slave may rest as well with you.
So nobody's out there. I knew a couple of white Jewish people, and they had pawn shops, and they would have Israelites working for them on their pawn shop, at their pawn shop on the Sabbath day. And that's not right. Just like you got in every city, you have Muslims that don't drink beer or liquor selling beer and liquor to us in their corner stores. They don't eat pork bacon, but they sell pork bacon to us. So the scripture says that nobody is supposed to be eating, all right, working on the Sabbath day. Scripture says nobody's supposed to be eating pig and pork, but they sell us pig and pork. And then the people that's supposed to keep the Torah about the Sabbath, they'll have people working at their stores on the Sabbath day when it's not something that's essential. Again, we can understand the emergency health related and protection type of services. Somebody wants to, try to act stupid on the Sabbath and, start doing things that put other people in jeopardy and in harm's way. You have to be able to have somebody that can enforce the law arrive quickly. And this is what we have to take into consideration when we're talking about all these different laws. I read.
In verse 15, and you shall remember that you were domestic in the land of Egypt, and Yahweh your Elohim brought you out from there with a strong hand and with a high arm.
Meaning, remember that you were a slave in Egypt. So you and anybody working for you is going to be allowed to rest because you know what it's like not to be able to rest. All right, read.
Therefore, Yahweh your Elohim instructed you to keep the day of the Shabbats, to consecrate it. Honor your father and your mother.
So honor your father and your mother in the righteousness that they did. Honor your father and your mother in the righteousness that they did. Don't respect and honor them in the wicked things that they did. So just because your mother and father did something doesn't make it the right thing to do. So the honor you have for your mother and father must be weighed against what does the Torah say? What does the Torah say? In other words, when this person was on their dying bed, they said that we need to have, a celebration to respect and honor their life and to commemorate them and have a memorial and to discuss all of the things that that they taught us on how to be better with our family, with each other, and with life, and so on and so forth. Okay. Well, if that falls on the Sabbath, we're gonna have to postpone that. If that falls on the Day of Atonement, we're gonna have to postpone that. If that falls on a fast that we have chosen to do as a nation, like Psalm Gedaliah, we're gonna have to postpone that, because the commandments of Yahweh and the instructions of our forefathers upon the whole nation supersede any personal instruction that somebody gives to their family when it's in conflict with what our ancestors have established for us as a whole. Everybody can't just say, well, I'm going to do my own thing. We have to have a uniformity of how we do things. And this is one of the powerful, meanings and the intentions of Paul saying, let us all be on one accord. Let us speak the same thing, be of one mind, have the same judgment. Go ahead, Zayatan.
Verse 16, as Yahweh your high commanded you, so that it may be well with you, and that you may be long lived in the land that Yahweh your high has given you.
Go ahead.
You should not commit adultery.
You should not commit adultery. Now, adultery is when a man and woman have entered into a righteous, lawful union according to our laws, and they maintain that righteous, lawful union in righteousness. If the man says, I don't like how you're talking to me, you are divorced. It is adultery if that man goes out and says, I'm going to marry another woman. Or if that woman, under any circumstances, says, I'm going to go out and marry another man. If a woman is betrothed or engaged to a man and she says, well, I'm going to go out and get me another husband, I'm not really, quote unquote, married to you, that's adultery. And the man that gets with that woman that was divorced for any reason and betrothed or married and no longer in that betrothal or the marriage, the man that gets with her is committing adultery also. If a man divorces his wife for anything other than adultery or fornication, then he is committing adultery if he marries again. So these are the different, adultery is not only you slept with another man's woman or you slept with a man that wasn't your husband. That's not the only aspect of adultery. And we can see roughly in Matthew chapter 5, how Mashiach goes into a lot of details, as well as in Matthew chapter 19, how Mashiach goes into the details of adultery. So it says you should not commit adultery. It says you shall not murder. Right? You should not murder. Murder is an unjustifiable death inflicted on somebody else by you. You should not, murder nor condone murder. All right. And that's murder at any stage of life, prenatal and postnatal, at any stage of life. Once the egg fertilizes, once the egg is fertilized by the man's seed, taking that entity's existence away is murder. Doesn't matter if it's 1 second old, 1 day old, or 100 years old. A human life is a human life. So we're not supposed to take a life of anybody unrighteously. So if I am about to commit harmful, fatal injury upon somebody that that you see what's going on, you're supposed to kill me. You're not supposed to stand against the blood of your neighbor. You're not supposed to sit and watch me. You see me aiming, cock this gun back and I'm aiming, pow. You're supposed to shoot me. So I don't murder this person over here. Or, hey, put down the gun. I'm counting to 3. Put down the gun. I want to die anyway, so I'm going to shoot him anyway. I'm going to kill myself. Don't worry about it. I got you. That's not murder. But, hey, I don't like what you did. That's murder. I kill you. That's murder. You know what? We're not ready for a child yet, baby. I want you to have an abortion. You telling that woman to commit murder. Well, you know what? This is the prime of my life. This is gonna be a hot girl summer, so I'm not ready for this. And you go and abort the baby. That's murder. That's murder. You go outside and you driving in your car and you're drunk and you hit somebody and that person dies. That's murder. Neglect is no excuse for murder. You made a choice to do something that was dangerous that could put somebody's life in jeopardy. And according to our laws, you would have to get killed for that. If I jump out into the street all of a sudden and you hit me, that's a vehicular homicide. But you would go to a city of refuge that we read about earlier. So there's different aspects of what is murder. Go ahead. Verse 19, come.
You should not steal.
Stealing is when you take something that does not belong to you, and you take something that you do not have a rightful, you don't have a right to. You don't have a right to it. That's what stealing is. All right, go ahead.
You should not testify falsely against your neighbor.
Let me say something else. You don't have a right to it, and you can't go through. In other words, if you're a police and you take my wallet, and you just take my wallet from me and you put it on your dashboard, I can go get my wallet back off of your dashboard. That's not stealing. You took it from me. I took my wallet back. Okay, I took my wallet back. So that wouldn't be considered stealing, right? That wouldn't be considered stealing because it's mine. I'm taking back what you took from me, and that can apply in different situations. But stick to the topical understanding of don't take stuff that don't belong to you. Don't try to figure out, okay, what are the different exceptions to that. Go ahead.
Verse 20. You should not testify falsely against your neighbor.
Meaning don't open your mouth against somebody and what you're saying, you don't know it to be true. It's like me saying, well, if I see somebody like this, and yeah, I saw him go and steal or do murder or commit adultery because I saw this color. I didn't see him though. Somebody could have stole his clothes to make it look like he's the guilty person. And even if you say, well, I didn't know, you're supposed to say, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not 100% certain, but this is what I saw. I didn't see his face. I saw these clothes. So I'm not saying it's him, and I can't say it's him, but I can say that I saw these clothes. I saw this color. Go ahead.
With a false testimony.
So don't give a false testimony. A false testimony is a testimony that you don't know to be 100% true. Well, I thought, I felt. No, it has to be, because people's freedom, people's property, people's lives, and people's money are in jeopardy, at stake, when you start testifying against people and you start putting your word into a proceeding. Go ahead.
You should not covet your neighbor's wife.
That means don't see what your neighbor has, his wife, and then want her for yourself. That's coveting. Coveting is not, hey, he has a wife. I see them happy together. I see them doing a lot of good stuff together. They look happy. I want a wife like her. Hey, brother, does she got any cousins or any? That's not coveting. Coveting is, hey, I see his wife. She being nice and good to him. She could be nice and good to me too. I want her in my life. That's coveting. Go ahead.
You should not covet your neighbor's house or his field or his male slave or his female slave.
So again, I like the language, but because we did have slaves. Slavery is not a European white people concept. Israelites had slaves also, but we treat our slaves differently. As you know, when you read the law, one of the main points of distinction in the Israelite law is that if a slave ran away from you, and he would have to be given refuge in the territory where he ran to. He'd have to be given refuge. He wasn't returned to you. So that means that the people that were working with you, you could discipline them for being wicked or going against the Torah, but you just couldn't be, I'm gonna just be evil and mean against this person. All right? I'm gonna just be evil and mean against them. So it's not like they leaving fleeing from justice. If they're leaving fleeing from justice, that's another story. But if they just say, man, I can't take this. This guy is just mean and wicked and evil. And they say, well, I'm going to go live in Zayatan territory. They can't do nothing to him. So our laws of slavery and bondage and captivity and the way we treated people, the Most High says show love to the stranger and to love our neighbors and all of that. We have actual laws governing how we are supposed to treat people. And that was supposed to be what the white people were using when they came into America, right? They said they got sworn in, the president gets sworn in on the Bible, but they don't uphold the Bible in their rulership, do they? They pick and choose. Go ahead.
Or his ox, or his draft animal, or any animal of his, or whatever belongs to your neighbor.
Go ahead.
Verse 22. These words Yahweh spoke to your whole gathering at the mountain from the midst of the fire. Darkness, blackness, tempest, a loud voice, and he did not add, and he wrote them on 2 stone tablets and gave them to me. And it happened when you heard the voice from the midst of the fire, and the mountain was burning with fire, that you approached me, all the leaders of your tribes and the council of elders, and you said, look, Yahweh our Elohim has shown us his glory, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. This day we have seen that Elohim will speak to a person, and he will live. And now let us not die, for this great fire will consume us if we continue to hear the voice of Yahweh our Elohim any longer, then we will die.
And this is where you get the people in Persia doing Zoroastrianism, which is a fire worship of Ahudu Mazda. Ahudu Mazda. So that's where you get that religious practice from of, oh, the Most High, we're going to worship him as a fire. Right? So if you study it, you'll see what I'm talking about, and you'll be equipped to tell people, nah, you ain't supposed to be doing that either. All right. So people took all of these attributes of Yahweh and they said, well, I like that, so I'm going to make a religion based upon this. And that's how we get the different religions. It all came from the worship of Yahweh. And they didn't want to worship this, the one true God. They wanted to compartmentalize, break Yahweh up into segments and give those segments names and attributes and personalities and make them distinct from Yahweh and subject and subservient to Yahweh, and take away from the oneness of Yahweh and worship these lesser gods. And that's what we have going on right now with our people. The worship, the practices, the symbols, all connect back to other gods of our people right now. Go ahead.
Verse 26. For what flesh which has heard the voice of the living Elohim when he speaks from the midst of the fire, as we have, shall also live. Go you near and hear whatever Yahweh our Elohim may say, and you shall speak to us all things, whatever Yahweh our Elohim may speak to you, and we will hear and do it. And Yahweh heard the sound of your words when you were speaking to me, and Yahweh said to me, I have heard the sound of the words of this people, what they have spoken to you, all that they have spoken correctly. Who shall grant that their heart be in them in such a way that they fear me and keep my commandments in all their days, so that it might go well with them and with their sons forever. Go, say to them, return to your homes, but you stand here with me, and I will speak to you the commandments you should teach them, and let them do to them in the land that I am giving them as an allotment. And you shall be watchful to do as Yahweh your Elohai has commanded.
So be watchful, be diligent and be vigilant to make sure that you and those around you are doing right in Yahweh's eyes. And it's hard sometimes because you've developed your own standards of right and wrong independently. And a lot of times we don't get counsel from our brothers and sisters about positions that we take. We just draw these conclusions molded and shaped by our experiences and our interactions in our youth and growing up. And we have this mindset, and we think that when we come into Hamashiach, when we come into Christ, when we come into Torah, that we only need to change these things that are clearly things that are clearly out of sync with Yahweh. We like to change the pork and we can't eat shrimp, and we like the concept of the Sabbath. But then when it comes to all of the other laws, we're very lax and lenient on these other commandments. We're very lax and lenient on the culture that we are supposed to be representing as the children of Israel, as servants and followers of Hamashiach. Even if you don't worry about being an Israelite, if Hamashiach is your master, how do you dress? People that like Marilyn Manson and go to Marilyn Manson events, do they wear suit and tie, three-piece suit, top hats? No. People that go to the opera, all right, people that go to the symphony may dress in that type of fashion. But you have all types of people there, and you may see Marilyn Manson type of people there, but that's not their thing. So you, as a follower of Hamashiach, you have to renew your mind, and you have to think more like and act more like him as your master, and do things that you know he would do. Make choices that he says are that you know he would approve of. All right, go ahead.
Verse 32.
Verse 32.
You shall not turn right or left.
Don't go and veer in the wrong direction. Go ahead.
To go according to all the way that Yahweh your Elohai has commanded, so that he may give you rest, and that it may go well with you, and that you may prolong your days upon the land that you shall inherit. All that Yahweh said, we do and hear.
All that Yahweh has said, will we do and hear. And I want to just reiterate something on why we need to read this law. All right. In 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10, Paul says, writing to the people at Corinth, now I urge you, brothers, by the name of our Lord Yeshua HaMashiach, that you all agree and that there be no divisions among you. The only way you're going to work out divisions is to have a measurable standard of how to resolve divisions. So Paul is saying you need to resolve whatever divisions you have so that you don't have any divisions. And the divisions he's talking about mainly is the application of the Torah. I'm going to show you. Let there be no divisions among you, but that you be made complete, be whole. All right, be integrated one to another righteously, integral. Be complete in the same mind and in the same judgment. Your judgment, which is the seventh pillar of wisdom, is begun with. It's begun with what? right? Oh, so your judgment is begun with what? With your knowledge. That's the first pillar of wisdom, is knowledge. So the knowledge that you kicking me, the knowledge that you're kicking down to me or kicking out to me, is this knowledge from the Most High? Is this knowledge in His Torah? Well, no. Well, where do we find it at? Oh, we find it in Corinthians. Okay, let us proceed. Or where's it at? It's in the Quran. Okay, we're not going to get to the same judgment because we ain't starting with an agreeable source of knowledge. You see? Well, I believe in the Bible, but I believe in the Quran too. All right, you know what? The judges of Israel and the Quran itself have deemed that the Quran is not supposed to be used by believers for doctrinal purposes. And here's the reasons why. Long before you were born, this was the conclusion that we reached, and we uphold that decision. So Paul says you have to have the same judgment. So now the judgment, ultimately, we have two types of judgment. We have the judgment of wisdom, and we have the judgment, which means the execution on how we carry out the Torah itself. So it's telling us that we have to have the same basic halakha. No idolatry for me is the same thing for no idolatry for you. So he says that you have to have the same judgment. And then Paul says that there are quarrels among you. So he said you got different quarrels. So what do you got to do? You got to ease up them quarrels by going back to the source of your knowledge. Where did this come from? Where did this come from? These white people publishing and printing books for years. And the sad part about it is that what you don't know is that a lot of these books that come from these other languages, a lot of them haven't even been translated contextually by speakers of that language into English, Spanish, French, German, any other language. Some of them haven't. And then all of a sudden, an English copy of this book with this name on it appears, and we said, well, this must be the gospel of the Holy 12. That says that Jesus and his disciples was eating salad at the Passover. It's right here, brother. So everything you read in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Exodus, and Deuteronomy, and Leviticus, it's all wrong. This gospel of the Holy 12, it's the truth. The rest of the Bible is a lie. But we can't have that type of deviation. So let's read chapter 6, please. We're making very good time. Chapter 6, and we're going to stop at, I think, 7 and 3. All right, chapter 6, and we're going to stop at 7 and 3. You missed all the fun, man. Missed all the fun. Go ahead.
And these are the ordinances.
These are
the commandments.
Okay, these are the commandments. Go ahead.
And the statutes and the ordinances.
The ordinances. Go ahead.
That Yahweh Yahweh commanded to teach you to do so in the land which you are entering there to inherit.
In other words, these are the commandments that Yahweh has given us, that we were supposed to keep in our land, right? So then we didn't keep them in our land, so we got put in national jail, got kicked out. So the question is, are you going to say, oh man, woo, man, we got kicked out the land, so we ain't got to keep these no more? Or are you going to say, man, we got kicked out the land. Maybe if we try to do the right thing in this land, like we read that we're supposed to do in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 3, Yahweh will have compassion on us and put us back in our land, since we didn't do the right thing when we were in our land. The proper approach is to say the latter, not the former. We should be even more zealous of obeying Yahweh, but we're not. We are zealous about two things: lifestyle and more money. That's what makes Israelites' clock tick. We want a better lifestyle, and we're going to do what we can do to get it, and we want more money to do things that we want to do. And because we don't want land, we don't want fresh water access, we don't want, some of us do, most of our people don't. They've been sold the whole democratic capitalist dream of human existence. That's what they've been sold. There's a difference between free enterprise and open market and capitalism. Not to mention the fact that the founding principles of capitalism are not what we see at operation today in society. And if you were going to pick a model of government short of the Torah and what the Israelites had in ancient Israel, which was Josephus, all right, or Yusuf bin Matthias, which he dubbed as theocracy, rulership of a divine being, rulership of God. Short of the rulership of the Torah, your closest form of government you're probably going to have holistically will be a combination of tribal governments, systems, and what they call social democracy of Scandinavia. So I'm not tooting my own horn, but when it comes to things that are relevant to our unity and governorship as a people, I've been reading about different forms of government, including concepts of social democracy, since I was 15 years old, 15, 16 years old. So now when I get this law book about laws for my people that we haven't been keeping, I'm taking it very, very seriously. So now, even though we're out of our land, like Amaria read, Yahweh said, Moses said, keep these laws in your land that you're going to. Even though we're not in that land, we must still, not should still, we must still respect the word of Yahweh, because the word of Yahweh, he told you when his laws were restricted to a certain geographic area. He said, sacrifice and bring these fruits and come 3 times a year to this place. So just because we don't keep them that location doesn't mean we don't still keep the sanctity of their feast. And I thank Yahweh that we have the book of Tobit, where Tobit talks about he was keeping the Feast of Pentecost. He was keeping the Feast of Weeks in captivity in Nineveh. He didn't say, well, I'm in captivity. I'm exiled from my land, so I'm not going to keep these laws of Yahweh no more. I read them, Maria.
So that you may fear Yahweh, your Elohim.
So when you keep the laws, you fear Yahweh. You don't fear Yahweh, you're talking slick against what Yahweh has said because you don't fear him. Because you don't fear. That's why you can come on here and be like, I'm King David. And we talking about Hamashiach and this guy coming on talking about he's King David. We ain't talking about King David. We talking about Hamashiach. So the point is that we don't obey Yahweh because we don't fear him, and we don't fear him because we don't obey him. But Yahweh is telling us through Moses that what? Obey these commandments. Why? So that you may fear Yahweh. So people that don't have a fear of Yahweh, they are walking crooked in obedience to the Most High. And it shows. You can't hide it. I know you're not keeping the Torah the best you can. Why? Because you don't fear the Most High. You don't fear the Most High. If you obeyed his commandments, you would fear him, which means you're going to think 1,000 times. You're going to think for eternity before you easily say, I'm going to just break that commandment. But because you don't fear the Most High and you ain't really obeying what he said, you ain't studying the Most High. And it shows in your composure. It shows in your disposition. It shows in your mannerisms. It shows in your conduct, what you say. It shows in what you denigrate and what you exalt and esteem. All right, go ahead.
To keep all his statutes and his commandments that I command you today, you and your sons and your sons' sons.
So it's always 3 generations mentioned. You, your son, and your son's son. So you, your son, and then your son has a son, your grandson. So you have a responsibility as a man to teach 3 generations. We're responsible for 3 generations being pointed in the right direction. You, your son, and your grandson, which means you as a mother or father, then your son or your daughter, and then your grandson and your granddaughters. Teach them the instructions and the commandments of Yahweh. Not just coochie, coochie, coo. Not just tickle, 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 tickle. Not just peekaboo, te veo. Not just pon el dedito en el pilón. Not just Miss Mary Mack, all right, dressing in black with the silver buttons on her back, but actually this is what Yahweh said to do. You see that? You see this? This is what we have said. You see this, what I got on? See this linen? See that linen? Okay. You see this wool from a sheep? We're not supposed to mix that together. Never wear clothes that have these 2 mixed together. You see this shoe? You see this? You see this? See how this leather looks? This is pig. We can't touch that. We can't wear it. You see this one? This is a cow. We can touch that. We can wear that one. So you teach the child. Hey, come here. We're gonna fry this fish. You see this fish? Let's get this off. If there's a fish and you can't do this to that fish, you can't eat it. See these are fins. The fish use this to swim. If it doesn't have that, you can't eat it. See that dolphin? Yeah, pet the dolphin. Nice animal, very friendly. Can't eat it. Smart, intelligent animal. Can't eat it. This is his fin. After, dorsal, side. These are his fins, but he doesn't have any scales, so we can't eat them. Sharks are scared of them, but we can't eat the shark either. He has fins, but no scales. So you teach your son and your children and your grandchildren. Go ahead. So that I command you, and you and your sons and your sons' sons, all the days of your life, so that you may be long-lived. Now hear, O Israel, and be watchful and perform,
so that it may be well with you, and that you may multiply greatly, just as Yahweh, the Elohai of your fathers, has spoken, to give you a land flowing with milk and honey.
A land with a good ecosystem, and your children, you're going to multiply. You're going to have a nice, healthy family, nice size family. All right. Your agriculture, your honey, your milk, your family. These are all tokens and symbols of Yahweh saying, not, I'm sure there's exceptions to this rule, but I appreciate the life that you're living. So I'm going to send more souls to you to be responsible for, right? Because it's Yahweh that determines who's going to be born and who's not going to be born. The issues of life and death come from him. So he says, you know what? I like what you're doing, man. Here's a daughter. Here's a son. Here's another son. Here's another son. Here's another son. Here's another son. Okay, enough of the sons. Here's a daughter. Here's another daughter. Here's another daughter. Here's another daughter. And finally, here's another daughter. Okay. Here's a son. So when you walk in obedience, there are tokens, and that's what I said yesterday, is that there's tokens that everybody has. Just like I said yesterday, I can look at you. You should be able to look at a person and tell what demon they're dealing with if they ain't dealing with Yahweh, and how to approach and deal with that demon, that God that they're worshiping, that indirectly reverencing a goddess or God. Let's see what that is. All right, go ahead.
And these are the statutes.
So these are the statutes. Go ahead.
And the judgments.
And the judgments. Go ahead.
Which Yahweh commanded to the sons of Israel.
Yahweh commanded these statutes and judgments to the 12 tribes of Israel. Go ahead.
In the wilderness.
He commanded these things to us before we got to the land of Israel. So we know we're supposed to be keeping them outside the land of Israel also. Go ahead.
As they were coming out from the land of Egypt. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim.
Yahweh is one.
Yahweh. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with the whole of your mind, and with the whole of your soul, and with the whole of your power.
Okay.
And these words that I command you today shall be in your heart.
And this is part of the famous Shema. Go ahead.
And in your soul.
Uh-huh.
And you shall teach them to your sons.
You shall teach them to your sons. Go ahead.
And talk on them while sitting at home.
So you're supposed to have conversation about these laws. Go ahead. Is that okay?
And going on the road.
And when you go on the road.
And lying down. And rising up.
So this is why you see these Jewish people in Israel and in the cities of America walking in the streets, reading a book in their hand, reading the Tehillim, or with a little kumash, reading. So we're supposed to be talking about the laws when we're in our house and when we're walking. All right, go ahead.
And you shall bind them as a sign on your hand.
And that's talking about the Tefillin on your hand. Go ahead. Which is like this. Go ahead.
And they shall be things unshakable before your eyes.
All right, so it's like the Tefillin before your eyes or between your eyes, like this right here, the black Tefillin. All right. Go ahead.
And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house.
That's talking about the mezuzah. Write it on your house. These laws, anytime you see where it says write these laws on your doorpost or put them on your hand or on your head, it's talking about having a physical sign of them. And you can see Hamashiach also talking about this when he criticizes the people. He criticizes this practice. So why are we doing it now? This is what he said. He said that he talks about the Pharisees. He says, but all their works they do to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments. So he's saying they make broad their phylacteries, meaning they make their tefillin real big boxes on your forehead and on your wrist, and they enlarge their borders, big thick borders of blue and big long drapey thick ornate fringes. Okay, so the Most High told us to wear fringes, and he told us to put the tefillin on our hand and on our forehead. So Hamashiach is not criticizing this practice, and neither is the gender specific. All right, so he's not criticizing this practice. What he's criticizing is you making it all big and bold so that everybody sees it. You know, you walking around with a tefillin like this, right? You walk around with a tefillin this size on your forehead, all right? You walk around with a tefillin this size, a big one, making it broad. When you look historically, the you don't see any small ones. I mean, any big ones. The tefillin are like were small. You don't see a bunch of big tefillin historically. You see small tefillin. Look it up. Look up tefillin and phylacteries and type in phylacteries or tefillin from Matthew chapter 23, verse 5, and type in archaeology, and you'll see them. And then once we get another website set up, we'll just be able to say, hey, go to the website. You'll see our culture. You'll see our history. You'll see our practices and our laws. So that's what it means when it said, put them on your hand and between your eyes and the doorposts of your house. Now go ahead.
And you shall write them on the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. And it shall be, whenever Yahweh your Elohim brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob, to give you large and fine cities.
Large and fine cities. Go ahead.
That you do not build. Houses full of all sorts of goods that you did not fill. Dug cisterns that you did not dig out. Vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. And when you eat and become full, take care for yourself, lest you forget.
So when you eat all of this blessing that Yahweh is giving you, eating off the lamb, and this is the irony about it. This is the irony about it. When you go into any other place, most other place where Israelites at, is only going to be Iraq and Iran amongst the Persians and amongst the Beta Israel and Ethiopia, that you had actual practicing people that had large amounts of food that they wouldn't starve or whatever back in them times during, when we were going in slavery. But then when the Most High decided to free us, he freed the Jamaicans on an island full of food, fruits and vegetables. He freed Haiti. All of us got freed on this fruitful, fertile land that produces so much food for us and can do so much more if managed properly. You see? So even in our punishment, Yahweh still said, I'm going to feed y'all. All right? If you were down south, which I wasn't, I'm not that old, in like the 60s or the 50s, right? You would have seen Alabama and Florida. They had pomegranates, they had oranges, they had tangerines, they had apples, they had plums, they had all sorts of food, all sorts of vegetables. All right, all sorts of food. Nobody was starving. All right, I talked to my father, and he said that they didn't have to go to the store for nothing except white sugar. And most time he said they use sugar and sweetener from sorghum. Maybe, no. He said they used to go to the store, maybe if they wanted some wheat. Other than that, they had everything else, sweeteners and the fruits and vegetables. They had everything on the land that they had. All right. Persimmon. Even had pomegranates. They even had figs. Only thing they didn't have was dates. In that land, I was talking to my father a little while ago, and we were discussing how you can take trees from nurseries. You can get trees that are bearing fruit, and you can take that tree and put it in prepared soil, and you can transplant, fruit-bearing trees on your property. So you don't got to wait 3-4 years. You just got to transport the tree carefully. Okay. Read that part again. Quote a verse.
Verse 11. Houses full of all sorts of goods that you did not fill. Dug cisterns that you did not dig out. Vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. And when you eat and become full, take care for yourselves, lest you forget Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Yahweh Yasharahla, you shall fear.
So he says what? He says take care, don't forget. All right. Read that part again about when you're full.
And when you eat and become full.
What verse you in?
That's the end of verse 11.
Okay, when you eat and be full.
Take care for yourself, lest you forget Yahweh Yasharahla, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Yahweh Yasharahla you shall fear, and him you shall serve, and to him you shall cling, and by his name you shall swear. Do not go after other gods from the gods of the nations around you, because Yahweh Yasharahla, who is present with you, is a jealous Elohim.
And we read about all of these practices that our people are doing, that's worshiping the other gods that were around us. We're worshiping all these other gods, and we think that we're doing stuff that pleases Yahweh, but we're doing things that he told us not to do. And we don't know that we're doing these things that he told us not to do because we're not focused on what he told us to do. Once you focus on what Yahweh has told us to do, when you see something outside of that, you're cautious, like, hold up, I don't know if I should be doing that, or what does that mean? You see, what does that mean? Are we supposed to be doing this? We don't know we're supposed to be doing this. Once you get rooted in Torah, then you see, I can't do that. I'm not supposed to be doing that. That's kind of shaky. Why? Because there's so much that you can there's so much that you can strive for out of what you know is the good and perfect will of Yahweh, that you don't have time to be doing all this other questionable stuff. So focus on the word of Yahweh as we know it, as we received it, as we grew up on the books that we go back to in the Bible from the 1st and 2nd century, AD and BC. And that's another thing you have to understand. The people that translated the Bible were far more intelligent than we are. And they gave us all the books that our ancestors were using from the 3rd century BC up until like the 3rd or 4th century AD. So the devil came later on and said, hey, take this book, I got some more, I got some more. And you gravitate toward them books when you don't gravitate toward the in-depth analysis of the books that we know are good books, because these are interesting and they appeal to a certain personality type. They appeal to a very, if I can use this word, eccentric, right? Is that the word? And esoteric type of personality. A very investigative, a very analytical, a very, hey, this isn't right, let me do it this way type of personality. And I got that type of personality, but not when it comes to these books that I cannot trace historically to be part of my community of people in general, not some secret book that an isolated community in the Dead Sea has. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, for the most part, the books that you see inside of the nets and inside of basically most of the books you see in the King James Bible are the correct books that the children of Israel were using. Some books were not included there, like the 3rd and 4th Maccabees. And then you got the odes, some of the songs of different characters in the Bible and verses written about them assembled together. And then you have the Psalms of Solomon. And when you read the Psalms of Solomon, you don't see no disagreement with the Bible. We've had major councils with 4 or 5 different seasoned studied elders, and I sat among them, and we went through a lot of these books, page for page for page for page. Some of these books are just now being available to y'all in English, but some of them were available in Spanish, initially. I'm talking 25 years ago. All right. So I had to read these books in Spanish. And then they came out with like Spanish and English editions. And then they just started doing the English editions. And that's when Judah got to say, oh, yeah, this is the good lost book. No, it's not. It's a fantasy book. So we have our books that Yahweh gave to us to what? To eat, that we've been eating for centuries. Because these other practices are not pulling us close to a better Torah compliance. Is it making us be more obedient to Yahweh? Or is it just giving us a bunch of new information that sounds great? Like Tony the Tiger. And then we say, man, this is good. I'm going to get deep into this. How is it bringing us closer to obedience to Yahweh and those 613 plus laws? How is it bringing us closer to Hamashiach? It's filling in informational gaps. It's filling in informational gaps, but it's not really giving a substantial impact on obedience and our relationship with our Creator, His Son, or with wisdom. Hardly any of them talk about the details about wisdom. It's always just some interesting missing piece that we may have overlooked. Right? Read the verse. What verse you in?
Verse 15.
All right, verse 15. Go ahead.
Because Yahweh Elohim,
Yahweh, go ahead.
who is present with you,
He's present.
is a jealous Elohim.
He's jealous. That means what? That means you better be on your pins and needles. When you're around a jealous person, a jealous man, or a jealous woman, you got to be on pins and needles when there's something around that could arouse that jealousy. So you better be on pins and needles with Yahweh. You know your man is your husband is very jealous, and you over there, talking to your cousin you grew up with, and you're like, oh yeah, and you got strong, and oh, I like your beard, and oh, your little turban, and you still got that cute little nose, and your husband gonna be like, I don't care if that's your cousin or not. I don't want you touching all over him like that, because he's jealous, right? So that's how we got to be with Yahweh. Stop doing stuff that's not a exclamation point. Leave them question marks for people that ain't serious about Yahweh, because you can arouse his jealousy inadvertently because you're doing stuff that he didn't tell you to do. That is symbolic of and leaning toward other gods and outside of his Torah. All right, outside of his Torah, you ain't supposed to be out there. They got the custom of giving gifts on Hanukkah. No, Israelites do not give no gifts on no Hanukkah. We ain't replacing Christmas. We don't do that. We don't give gifts on Hanukkah. That's not our practice. People started doing that because of the influence of Christmas. But we don't give no gifts on Hanukkah. We don't do that. So the Most High is jealous. He see you doing stuff that people do for Saturnalia and for Natalis Solis Invictus. And he's like, hey, that ain't for me. Why you do? That's for another God. So we got to be very careful and mindful. Go ahead.
Lest Yahweh your Elohim being angered with wrath against you, destroy you utterly from the face of the earth.
So Yahweh destroy you utterly from the face of the earth. Well, go ahead.
You shall not tempt Yahweh your Elohim as you tempted in the temptation, by guarding,
which is at Masah, because that means temptation. Go ahead.
By guarding, you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh.
Guard, you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh. Read.
The testimonies and the statutes that he has commanded you, and you shall do what is pleasing and good before Yahweh your Elohim, so that it may be well for you, and that you may go in and inherit the good land that Yahweh swore to your fathers.
Right, inherit that good land that he swore unto our fathers. Right, go ahead.
To chase out all your enemies before you, as he said, and it shall be, when your sons ask you tomorrow, saying, what are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments that Yahweh our Elohim has commanded you, that you shall say to your son, we were domestics to Pharaoh in the land of Egypt.
We were slaves to Pharaoh in the land of Egypt. Go ahead.
And Yahweh brought us from there with a strong hand and with a high arm. And Yahweh gave us.
Shalaka, let's take keep reading if you want to. but take like a 5-minute, a less than 5-minute recess. You can discuss or explain what you read already a little bit. What are you, brother?
So verse 15. Tell me for sure.
Nobody saying that?
Yeah.
Just getting started. All right. Let's continue with the reading. Did you Sukkoth today? You Sukkoth? What verse you want? Go ahead. Go ahead. Real quick. Verse 19, go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 19. To chase out all your enemies before you, as he said.
So Yahweh, he chased out our enemies. He chased them out. He cleared the way, and he expected us to be worshiping him. But now our enemies are, doing things to us that aren't nice. And we're saying, hey, treat us nice. But we don't want to turn back to Yahweh and obey him. All right. Life is not fair. Governments are not fair. People are not fair. So Yahweh told us, I'm going to clear the way for you, but I want you to obey me. So we want the benefits of the protection of Yahweh, our God, but we don't want to humble ourselves and submit to him and only him. So now these same enemies that got chased out, guess what? They back among us now. The same spirit of oppression, the same spirit of domination, the same spirit of lawlessness is back now. And we caught in the crossfire. And all we have to do is come back to Yahweh, obey his commandments, and try to live together. The vast majority of the problems that you have can be fixed by just being obedient and following the examples that we see Yahweh giving for our people inside the scriptures. All right, read.
Verse 20. And it shall be when your son asks you tomorrow, saying, what are the testimonies and statutes and the judgments that Yahweh our Elohim has commanded you? That you shall say to your son, we were domestics to Pharaoh in the land of Egypt, and Yahweh brought us.
He said, what are the or what are these?
What are the judgments?
Right. So in other words, what is the Torah? Go ahead.
We were domestics to Pharaoh in the land of Egypt, and Yahweh brought us from there with a strong hand and a high arm.
And we read about that, how he brought us out of Egypt, and he brought us through the wilderness. And now he brought us all the way up into the borders of the land of Canaan. Go ahead.
And Yahweh gave before us signs and wonders, great and evil in Egypt, against Pharaoh.
Evil. Yahweh did evil upon the Egyptians. And the last thing he did was what? Kill their firstborns. And now our people are doing that, voluntarily. The worst thing Yahweh inflicted upon the Egyptians, the children of Israel do that to their own children voluntarily now. Check out that contradiction. Yahweh said, hey, man, I'm going to kill these firstborn if y'all don't do the right thing. And that's a result of the same spirit that Yahweh saw that was operating with those Egyptians when they were rebelling against Yahweh. That's the same spirit that's operating in the people that want to murder adults and babies. It's the same spirit. And that's why you're getting the same result, murder and death. Because the same evil spirit, same spirit of rebellion. All right, go ahead.
Against Pharaoh and against his household. And he brought us out from there in order to bring us in to give to us this land that he swore to give to our fathers. And Yahweh commanded us to perform all these statutes, to fear Yahweh our Lahiah, so that it may be well for us all our days, so that we may live as it is today. If we are watchful to perform all these commandments before Yahweh our Lahiah, as he has commanded us, there will also be mercy for us. Kalash read by Yahweh na Ishawa na Shemi.
Kalash read by Yahweh na Ishawa na Shemi.
All the Yahweh said what we're doing here.
All the Yahweh said what we do and here. 1 through 3.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. Now if Yahweh your Lahiah brings you into the land that you are entering there to inherit, and shall clear away great and numerous nations.
So he pulled these Gentile nations out of the way. He pulled these other nations and cleared them out from where we were. And some of our people, he loved them so much that he brought us into a land where nobody was even there. We were the first ones to occupy North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean. No other nations were there. We didn't have to fight anybody to conquer these lands over here. Go ahead.
Before you, the Hittite and the Girgashite and the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite, 7 nations numerous and mightier than you. And Yahweh your Lahiah shall deliver them into your hands, and you shall strike them. By annihilation you shall annihilate them.
Annihilate. And we didn't do that. And that's why we started worshiping their gods, and we still worshiping their gods now. Go ahead.
You shall not establish a covenant with them, neither shall you have mercy on them.
So he said, don't establish a covenant and don't make no mercy with them. Don't establish no covenant and don't show them any mercy. He said, you got to kill everybody. Go ahead. Verse 3, last verse.
Neither shall you intermarry with them.
He said, don't marry with these people that's worshiping these other gods. Read.
You shall not give your daughter to his son.
He said, you can't take your daughter and give her to be lorded over by a Lord that doesn't worship Yahweh. Go ahead.
And you shall not take his daughter for your son.
And you should not take that woman and put her under your son as her Lord. All right, read that part again. You should not take.
Neither shall you intermarry with them. You shall not give your daughter to his son.
So don't give your daughter. Don't give your daughter to their sons. Here, this is my daughter. Take my daughter. Go ahead.
And you shall not take his daughter for your son.
And don't take your daughter. I mean, don't take their daughters. The giving and taking. Right? Don't take what?
And you shall not take his daughter.
Don't take his daughter.
For your son.
For the son. So he says, no matter if it's male or female, there's no type of marriage supposed to be happening with idolaters. Period. There's no type of marriage that's supposed to be happening with idolaters. All right. So if anybody, we under 2 hours. We did good today. We spent 9 hours together yesterday. So I'm gonna make an abrupt end so we don't go into overtime. We under 2 hours. We did good today. All right. So if you have any questions or comments, if you're on YouTube, you can put them in the video. And if you on Facebook Messenger, you could put it on the Banya Yasharahla dialogue group on Facebook Messenger. All right, thanks for your time, everybody. Shalom. Why does that say 124? Or maybe because I hung up and came back in.